Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to this video. All right, so we are going to be dealing with a crank no start situation, and this is a fuel system issue. Well, basically it could be a fuel system issue, but we're gonna go through all the diagnostics, troubleshooting as far as this situation is concerned. All right, so if you guys get a crank no start situation, it could be a bunch of different things that could cause the issue. All right, so basically if you have this problem, what you want to do is you want to figure out whether there's any kind of fuel pressure. You really want to figure out whether the fuel pump is working or not, first of all. All right, so in this car, what you're going to do is you're going to lift the back seat up. If you have another person there, you could have that other person in the back trying to listen to see if there's any kind of motorized buzzing sound when you turn the key to the on position, just before the crank position. If you hear a buzzing sound or a motorized sound, chances are, not chances are, but there's a good your fuel pump is working. I'm gonna say chances are, but yeah, your fuel pump is working at that point. You know that the fuel pump is working and it's sending it's pumping out fuel for the most part, like 99% of the time. All right, that's the fuel pump working if you hear that sound. Now you could actually do it with just you having that back seat lifted up, because it's not a big car, and turn it to the on position. You could hear it. It's a buzzing motorized sound. All right, that means that the fuel pump is working. The fuel pump is not the issue. That also means that the fuel pump relay is not the issue. So you can rule the relay out, you can rule the fuel pump out. Now, the fuel goes through a fuel filter. All right, that could be, if there's a blocked fuel filter, that could cause that issue. However, it's very rare that the fuel filter is so clogged that it would cause to the point where it would just cause a crank no start situation. In most cases, what happens is the fuel filter is kind of clogged. You would be able to get the car started, and then it'll die out immediately, or it'll die out a couple seconds later. It's a rare case where the fuel filter is so clogged that when you try to turn the car on, all it does is crank, and the fuel filter is the issue. All right, but you might want to check that anyway, just to make sure that that's not the issue with your crank no start scenario. Now, if you guys want to figure out whether there's any kind of fuel pressure, I know there's you take it to the shop. They're gonna do these fuel pressure tests with fuel pressure gauges. It's a rare occasion where low fuel pressure, I mean, if you're getting gas, if you're getting any kind of gas going through the system, you won't just get a crank no start. What you're gonna do is, what's gonna happen is you're gonna get a crank, it's gonna start, and then it'll die out. All right, and at that point you can figure out whether it's the fuel pressure or it's something else. But for the most part, most mechanics really don't need that fuel pressure test to try to test out that problem. All right, so with the whole troubleshooting of this particular scenario, if the fuel pump works, you can rule that out. You can rule out the fuel pump relay. You can rule out you can kind of rule out the fuel filter. You can kind of rule out the fuel filter for the most part. Now, it could be possibly a fuse that's not connected to the fuel pump, but it could be maybe like the car's computer's fuse, ECM fuse. There's cases where obviously if the fuse to the ECM, what you want to do in these situations is you would want to test out all the fuses to make sure that all the fuses are good. All right, because a lot of these newer cars these days, the modern cars, a lot of different systems are connected to other systems, and if you have one system with a blown fuse, it can affect other systems that would cause the crank no start issue. So in this situation, you want to test out all the fuses, because I've seen situations where if the fuse to the car's computer was blown, you would get a crank no start issue. You get a crank no start issue that would definitely cause it. And the only way you can find that out, there's a couple ways you can find that out. Okay, chances are if you have an OBD2 scanner, you can plug it in, see if it scans all the way through. If it does not scan all the way through, then obviously there is a disconnect between the car's computer and the car itself. But if you figure it's a blown fuse, you can actually have a fuse tester to test it out. Test it out to make sure that it's not a blown fuse. And that's probably another easy way to test that out. Now, here's the other thing that would cause a crank no start situation, and it's not exactly fuel. It's not fuel related at all. What it is your fob key battery. All right, your fob key battery. If your fob key battery is low or it's dead and the car is not detecting the fob key at all, you're gonna have, for the most part, a crank no start situation. It'll crank, but it will not start up. All right, and a lot of people actually miss that. They'll go and diagnose everything, but they won't. It's not apparent to them that the fob key battery would cause this situation. So if you have this situation, probably the first step is to make sure that your fob key, that the battery on your remote actually is working or is good. Probably should just go to like a CVS or Walgreens or a Rite Aid or whatever and swap out the battery. A lot of times, a lot of people will go and try to diagnose everything, and you can spend hours trying to figure this whole situation out, and everything else works. Like, they figure out they're getting fuel. Up front, you could actually take out one of the fuel hoses, and they're getting fuel. You're getting fuel. You're getting the fuel pump actually obviously works because you're getting fuel. The relay to the fuel pump obviously is good. The filter to the fuel pump is actually good. All the fuses been tested out. All the relays are good, and you're still scratching your head like, what's the issue? And a lot of times, the most simplest thing that you could look at the very beginning to save you all that time is the one thing that people just don't. It's not that first thing they look at. All right, so that fob key battery or the fob key itself could have issues. Maybe the battery's good, but the fob key itself has issues, and for whatever reason, your car's computer is not reading your cards, the fob key itself, and you get this situation where it cranks and it won't start because it'll just keep the computer will just keep the car from starting up. It won't keep it from cranking. It'll keep it from turning over and starting. So if you guys have this situation where you have a crank no start situation and you think it's fuel related, if you think that if you've gone through all the troubleshooting steps as far as, you know, figuring out that the fuel pump works, the fuel filter is good, you're getting fuel through the system, you know, it's probably it could be as simple as the fob key battery. Now obviously if you're not getting any kind of fuel pressure, it could be one of those things that I mentioned, the fuel pump or the fuel pump relay that's keeping the fuel pump from working. But I mean, if you've done this long enough, the whole troubleshooting process as far as that's concerned is pretty much rudimentary. But if you're new to this and you're trying to figure out, you know, what are the stages as far as the fuel system is concerned and why it's causing your crank no start situation, etc., you know, I hope this video has helped you guys out. All right. You know, if you guys want to leave your comments in the comments section with your own personal experiences as far as this is concerned, definitely leave your comment in the comments section. Please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe. Hope this video has helped you guys figure it out, what your problem is, what your car's issue is, and get you guys back on the road. All right, guys, take care.